there, this is Sunny. If you are new to my channel, I am a professional ballroom dancer, and I'm here today to share with you from an industry insider's perspective what my opinions are and what is going on behind the scenes in Dancing with the Stars. So if you missed my previous videos, I'll share some links below. And what I'm doing right now is just going through each couple so you can hear a little more about them and why I think they received the marks that they did. And what their results were as well. Okay, so next up on the floor, we see NFL star Adrian, whatever his name is, and Britt, who danced a salsa and tied for 5th place. Okay, and I just realized, reflecting, this is actually one of 2 salsas they included in this debut premiere show. And as I shared previously, salsa is not a real ballroom and Latin dance. We have kind of 4 subcategories in real ballroom dance competition. We have standard, smooth. These are more of the traditional ballroom dances. We have Latin. We have rhythm. So these are dances like cha-cha. Salsa is actually not one of those Latin dances. Salsa is its own unique culture from the ballroom dance community. Although myself and every ballroom dance teacher I know do teach salsa, and certainly if someone comes to me for a private lesson, I'll give them a salsa. But if you go to a ballroom dance or a ballroom competition, you're going to hear very few salsas. And on the upside, the salsa is easier to learn. It's just technically a super simple dance. It's also very different socially in that you can go to a salsa club and primarily dance salsas the entire night. Whereas if you go to a ballroom dance or a ballroom competition, you will see all sorts of styles of dance throughout the night. You'll see rumbas, you'll see waltzes, you'll see foxtrots, you'll see some salsas, but tango, wide variety of dances, okay? So it's just kind of a different culture. I personally prefer ballroom dance, as I am a professional ballroom dancer. And that is because you have a lot more versatility when you know a wider variety of dances. So I can show up to a wedding and dance to every single dance song there during the night. If you only know salsa, it does limit you to which songs you can dance to quite a bit. So unless you love hanging out at salsa clubs, might not be the best route for you. But it is easy to learn, so they did assign it to a couple of these dancers, in my opinion, because these dancers totally lack talent and they didn't want them to look silly on this show. So in that case, it probably was best for these competitors that they were assigned to dance like salsa. Okay. Like many real life ballroom couples, we see that Adrian and Britt are an interracial couple, so to speak, not necessarily in a romantic sense, but in a dancing sense. This is very common. And I would say in that way, a lot more progressive than kind of the rest of American society. Certainly if you went back like 30 years or something, it's very common. And as I've also shared in another video, and I'll dive into this more later, many couples are not romantically linked at all. They dance together because they love ballroom dancing or Latin dancing. And it's a common hobby that we enjoy, and it brings us happiness and health. As I previously shared, I have some concerns about this competitor getting called back much longer. First of all, he's in the NFL, or a former NFL player. And I suspect that football fans are not going to really have a lot of crossover in being fans of Dancing with the Stars and calling and voting in. And as we know, caller votes are supposedly 1/2 of the marks that they calculate to see who's going to be eliminated. My second concern with this competitor is he has been accused of essentially being a wife beater. And this is a result of an incident on camera at an airport where the airport security had to intervene with his wife. The wife chose not to press charges, but I suspect we have a lot of women watching this show, and they might not be fans of someone coming from this circumstance. And honestly, I'm not either. Whether it's true or not, I think it's bad for the ballroom dance industry reputation to have somewhat questionable character people be involved in the program. That's my opinion. Maybe the show deliberately broadcast him because they think it's scandalous and they know they'll get more attention for the season if they bring in kind of questionable characters. But based on what I saw, he was placed way too high. They had him tied for 5th, not where I would have had him. But I'm not there judging the program. And as I've shared in previous videos, a couple of the judges on this panel have zero ballroom dance experience in the real world of ballroom dance. And I'll delve into that more in detail in another video. Anyway, overrated totally. Totally lacks talent, especially for being a former professional sports player. I would have expected more. Okay, next up on the floor, we have Lele and Brandon, and they're coming 4th place with a tango. Although I did feel this was one of the more talented people. Honestly, I probably would have placed her lower than 4th, but that's my 2 cents. She is a singer who is trained in dance, so that definitely gave her a competitive edge. But from my perspective, she definitely looked a lot sloppier than I would have expected in her practices. But I have no reference point, honestly, if are they showing their very first practice from a month and a half ago, or are they showing their last practice, from last week? That would make a big difference. And when you take dance lessons, it's definitely a bell curve in terms of what you're learning. That first lesson will be really rocky. You'll feel awkward. 5 lessons in, you're rolling, you're really dancing. And because this is a 2-hour show, they cannot show 5 hours of video of each couple and their progress. So I don't know what all we're not seeing behind the scenes. Okay. I do feel she improved the most, or certainly one of the most improvements I saw from the point that she came from the practice to the point she actually performed on the show. So that's a good sign for Lele's future potential in getting called back and making it a little farther towards that mirror ball. In my opinion, Barry Williams, who was Greg on the Brady Bunch, was much older and came in with existing, what he felt were injuries or inflexibilities. I thought I was more impressed with kind of his progress given his limitations, but we'll see how it goes. I'm under the impression that she is Cuban. Okay. And in my experience, people that come to me, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, don't accuse me of racism, people that come to me as newcomers from some sort of Latin American cultural background, or overrate themselves a bit in terms of, well, I'm Latin, so I'm going to be a great dancer. And reality check, your ballroom dance ability has nothing to do with your race. Doesn't matter what your race is. And I've seen untalented, traditional Caucasian jumped out of Germany couples. I've seen equally untalented, couples that grew up kind of salsa dancing, from a Latin American country their whole life. Ballroom and Latin dance is a different animal, okay? And so I think that might play against her if she's coming in this with an arrogant attitude of assuming she's going to be God's gift to ballroom dancing, because that's absolutely not the case. This is not a racial thing, okay? honestly, I find students who enter with the most humility progress the fastest because they're working hard and they're very open to your feedback that you give them as a professional. They're eager to learn. They're eager to improve. Okay. So anyway, in a nutshell, I'll be surprised if she wins because of this, but and I would have had her placed lower. But who knows what the call-ins were. I don't know what her fan base is, so that might have compensated for something. Okay, next on the floor, we see Mira and Gleb. So this is Mira Sorvino, Paul Sorvino's daughter. Okay, so just coming out of the shoot, I was so distracted by her excessive plastic surgery. I could hardly look at the dancing. I was so mesmerized and distracted by her face. Now, for the record, I am a big fan of plastic surgery. I think if you have, certainly if you have a disfigurement or if you just even mentally have a mentally, depressing trait that just is bringing your whole life down, hey, by all means, get plastic surgery. But I'm honestly not a huge fan of plastic surgery for someone that is, in my opinion, naturally beautiful and aging gracefully. It's a really sad reflection on Hollywood, in my opinion, because she is an actress that I think, particularly in that California/Hollywood culture, there is an artificial, unrealistic expectation for eternal youth that gives people poor self-images there. And I don't want to give the impression to people interested in ballroom dance that cultural expectation exists in the real world of ballroom and Latin dance competition, because it does not, okay, in any way. I don't care if you look 500 years old, the marks are based on how you dance and not that you look 50 years younger than you really are. Ridiculous. We all have great respect for dancers of every age. In fact, probably more respect for a more senior dancer because we know how hard they have to work to achieve what they achieve, okay? So it was just sad. It was distracting for me. I can hardly even comment on the dancing, although honestly, she placed 7th. I wasn't personally impressed with the dancing, but I could hardly even pay attention to the dancing because I was so distracted by the rest. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on Mira and Gleb, but we will see them next week, and I'm sure they'll progress like everyone else. Okay, guys, I've gone way over my 10-minute goal, so I'm going to follow up with another video kind of detailing my perceptions and opinions on the rest of our couples in this season premiere, okay? And I'll share with you how they placed and why I think they placed that way. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Give me a thumbs up if you like that one. And comment with questions, and I'd love to hear your opinions on these couples. Okay, toodles.